Good afternoon and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that aims at shedding a light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence. Today, we are going to talk about an excellent show that I just saw on Broadway, A Strange Loop. It won the 2022 Tony Award for Best Musical. It is currently playing at the Lyceum Theater with book, music, and lyrics by Michael R. Jackson, who is debuting on Broadway, and he also won the Tony for this, the Tony Award for Best Book of a Musical. Incredible. Our guest today is OBIE Award-winning Jason Veasey.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us and welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Maria, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, you star as Thought 5 in this amazing cast.
Yes, it is an amazing cast.
It is an amazing cast. It is an amazing musical. The music, the lyrics, the set, everything is amazing. The choreography, and you guys are all exceptional.
Thank you.
Exceptional.
Thank you.
And your voice is wow.
Yes.
So let's start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Jason Veasey. Like Maria said, I play Thought 5 in A Strange Loop. I am an actor and a singer. I've lived in New York since 2003. Up until the pandemic, I was a Harlem resident, and I'm working hard to get back to Harlem.
Good, that's where I live.
I'm currently in Brooklyn in a sublet, but the goal is to come back to Harlem. I am an Air Force brat, so both my mom and my dad were in the Air Force. We moved all over. Lived in Germany for 5 years when I was younger, during the late 80s. Mm-hmm. So that kind of shaped my worldview of growing up in different places and having a mother who's also not from America, which definitely shaped me. I started doing theater around the age of 10, and I've been lucky enough to been doing it ever since. And I started my journey with A Strange Loop in 2012. So I've been with the show for 10 years, from development up until Broadway. And
where was this playing before?
We did a run in DC at the Woolly Mammoth Theater back in the late fall, winter. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, we had the world premiere at Playwrights Horizons off Broadway, which resulted in a number of awards, including Michael winning the Pulitzer Prize for drama. And that all happened before the pandemic and before Broadway.
Fantastic. So I'm very happy for you that you are on Broadway now. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So the music and the choreography, everything, as I said, is very outstanding. How did you come to be part of this incredible production? How did it happen?
So back in 2012, I got an email from this guy named Michael R. Jackson, said that I was recommended to him by a mutual friend of ours, Randy Blair, and he would love for me to come in and sing something for him. And in the email were a bunch of links to his music from YouTube, and he was just like, please watch them. And I was like, okay. So I watched a couple, and I was immediately taken aback with some of his songs. None of the music was from A Strange Loop. It was just some of his individual songs. But I remember being like, why is he so stressed about me hearing and looking at all the clips? So I read all the clips, and they were very subversive and irreverent and funny, strong language, which were all right up my alley. And I ended up meeting him in a practice room on the campus of NYU. And I never sang for him. We just talked for about 35, 40 minutes. And we're saying, I'm going to sing for you. And he goes, no, I actually just need to get a vibe of who you are. Because at that point in time, Michael had experienced a number of actors and performers basically leaving him or canceling at the last minute of concerts because they were either too scared to perform some of the material. They were worried about maybe their careers at the time. I'm a little bit of a rebel, so I didn't care. so I signed up. So basically he was vetting me to make sure that I would stick around, you know? And from then on, he became a dear friend of mine and a collaborator. And basically I became a part of a strange loop by just saying, yeah, I'll stand by you. That's how it happened.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us, you talked about the strong language and so on. So we're going to get into that.
Okay.
First of all, I would like to ask you, what is your role, the fourth five? Tell us about your role in that, because you all play different roles.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right. So the central character is Usher, played by Jaquil Spivey, but I think you saw Kyle or Freeman last night, who was beyond. And he is surrounded by an ensemble of 6 actors called the Thoughts 1 through 6, and I'm Thought 5. And we play everyone from his feelings to his parents to potential lovers. So in particular, I have 2 main features in the show, and I play a potential love interest on a subway. And I play a very complicated version of his father.
Yes, a very interesting one. Tell us a little bit how you got into that character, because that was really strong.
Yeah. So Usher's parents are problematic, to say the least, but his parents love him. And as we know, there are a lot of people who love their children, but the way that they show their love cannot necessarily feel that way. And his father has a complicated way of showing it. His father shows that love through questions that he's constantly asking his son. He's always trying to figure out who his son is, but has a really weird way of going about that. His father doesn't believe that he is homophobic, I think, but is nonetheless. And the show, we get to a point in that scene where we do realize that his father loves his son, but does not understand his son at all. His son is an alien to him.
Yeah.
And the way that he tries to figure that out is harmful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say next, that the main character of Asher is really inspired by the real life of the writer, of Marco, right?
Yes.
So, as we were saying, his experiences are sometimes really cruel, and the language is very harsh and very crude. So as you were saying before, how do you feel when you perform it? First of all, when you accepted it, how did you come to accept that? And second, how do you feel when you perform that?
When I first encountered the script and read the script and encountered the material, I was extremely excited because, like I said, I'm a little bit of a rebel myself, so I don't mind kicking up dust, you know? So it was very exciting to even see language like this in the form of a musical.
Yes.
Usually you'll see language in this kind of stuff in plays or films and things like that, but to see it in it attached to music and song was really thrilling for me. And to perform it is even more thrilling. I think that language in general is intentional and can be intentional. Words have power. And, you know, just like any day, like if you say a curse word, there's an intention behind it, you know? And I think that all language is welcome. And in this story, certain language is necessary to interpret or to what's what I'm looking for, to communicate the emotions of rage, self-loathing, passion. So it's very fulfilling and fun to kind of mess with people a little bit, knowing that even if they're uncomfortable, we're not going to lead you astray. I think we're basically opening up a window for people to come into and be a fly on the wall. And you know, when we're on that stage, I can see people getting uncomfortable, and we know that we're going to take you to the right place. We're not going to abandon you. We're not going to leave you hanging out to dry.
That is really interesting, extremely interesting, because that's a reaction I had at a certain point. I was thinking, they are making themselves vulnerable now in front of outsiders.
Yes.
Right? That's what I felt. And so the question I wanted to ask you was, do you feel vulnerable when you play this show, or do you feel that you are giving yourself more power to make people understand?
You know, I don't think I've realized this until you asked me that. Do I feel vulnerable? Yes,
You do.
I feel vulnerable, but I also feel, because I'm also with that group of people on stage and we've been together for so long, I feel protected, at least with us, which in turn makes me feel powerful at the same time. Because at the end of the day, anytime you're telling a story on stage as an actor, whether it's your story or not, vulnerability, you're already exposed and vulnerable if you're doing your job, right? Yes. So yes, I do feel vulnerable, but I don't feel unsafe, right? It feels very much like we're going to open ourselves up this way and welcome you in, but we also, as a team, it's kind of like hosting a party, right? Yeah. Welcome into my home, but at the end of the day, my rules are my rules in my house. So that's what it feels like.
That's good. That's interesting. It's a really stunning show. And I think that's really important, because people would never go home with no impression, or with the impression is vivid.
Yes.
And does this experience, his experiences, resonate in your life or not at all?
Yes, they do. I definitely think that, like, someone asked me this the other day, like, how hard is it to do the show over and over again? Mm-hmm. I will say that on two things. My own personal experience, I'm able to do the show over and over again without maybe reliving any trauma because of a certain few things that happened in my life. One, I wasn't raised in church. I wasn't a church kid. So that's an experience that I don't have, which is a blessing because I'm not living through any sort of trauma based out of church-related experiences, which I think is, I've learned over the course of the years. I'm so glad that I've been able to be safe in that way. And some of my cast members don't have that experience. Two, I have the exact opposite experience of Usher with my parents. I have parents who are just
supporting you.
Yeah, you know, which also allows me to be able to go and tell the story without reliving anything. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is that part of playing a thought is that the story isn't happening to us. We just get to swirl around it and commenting on it and drive it. So it allows for a certain level of healthy detachment in the storytelling. So all I'm there to do is to guide the audience and guide the lead character of Usher, so I can be whoever I want to be without resting in that. Even with the father, which is an emotional scene, it's his perception and idea of a father. So I still have some safety in that. So, which also helps and aids in the part of being vulnerable, but staying protected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If that makes any sense.
What are your favorite moments over the years doing this or on Broadway, and what the most difficult ones during this play?
I would say favorite moments in the show. I love the opening number. I love doing the opening number. It feels like no matter what's going on in my day, if I'm tired or if I'm kind of like maybe a little not wanting to do the show that night, because it happens, you know, something about opening up the show and coming out of a canon with those 6 other amazingly talented people feels so powerful. I feel like a superhero and a supreme and you know and Sophia Loren, and it's all at the same time, you know. I feel just like, you know, great. I love that. I love the subway scene. I love that scene. I do love the father scene because I feel like so many times we see fathers that are like kicking their kids out or like really driving home, like calling their kids, at, you know, whereas this father is a little bit in between. He's someone who is trying but failing. And I think that we don't see that a lot, you know? I love Tyler Perry Red's real life.
It's fantastic.
It's just so absurd and hilarious and smart. And that's the point where the audience is just like, what is happening? The hard parts, difficult parts are the age is God's punishment number. Is hard in terms of like, without giving away too much, I happen to be in a certain place on the stage where I'm able to watch the audience because everyone's faces are so lit up. So at that point is where I can see how the show is affecting every audience member up to that time. So I'm seeing people who are really going through it. I see people who are having the time of their life. I've seen people who are just stunned and gagged at what they're watching. I'm looking at people who are looking over at their partners and saying, hey, do we need to have a discussion? I'm looking at women and female identified human beings who are connecting with a number that happens right before that called Boundaries, like the Why Did I Do That? That song really hits home for so many people. But it can be difficult to like watch someone coming to a realization about something, or this show opening up some wounds. That can be hard. But overall, it's a joyous experience, you know. It's also 90 minutes of like go, 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 go.
Yeah, high all the time. Never a dull moment.
Yes, never a dull moment at all.
So, and not during the show, but behind the scene, what were your best moments in doing it, in preparing for it?
Behind the scenes, I would say when I think about some of my favorite moments in Strange Loop, I would say what happened before we even got to off-Broadway, when we were in rehearsal studios, or one of the main places that helped develop the show was a place called the Music Theater Factory. And at the time it was run by Shakina Nafek, and it was housed in a porn studio. And so we had a lot of rehearsals and developments and talks and discussions and finding the intricacies in this porn studio where we were creating this thing that no one would pay attention to and no one would bite. So when I think about that, those are my favorite moments of developing it and watching, especially with the thoughts specifically, watching how, without us realizing it, how we were imprinting the thoughts. At the end of the day, characters aside, thought 5 is essentially Jason Veasey. So like watching us be able to infuse that with our DNA, if you will, is what I cherish the most. And the fact that a lot of times when you have shows that go from this small thing to Broadway, a lot of times those people from the beginning don't get kept on the journey. So the fact that we all are still here is a
You are
huge.
all the original cast, all
Yeah.
of you. Wow, this is incredible.
There have been many actors who have come and gone, but from playwrights up until now, with the exception of Jaquel and our beautiful understays and covers, it's been that core group. So I've been with it for 10 years. John Andrew Morrison, who plays the mother, has been singing that song for 15. James Jackson and El Morgan joined a year after I joined. Antoine Hopper joined in 2016. So we've been a family for a very long time. So that to me is like the most amazing thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It looks like that. You were talking about Tyler Perry before. Do you know if he has seen it, and if there are any reaction, or has he got in touch about this?
I know that he has not seen it. Okay. Here's what I know. I know that when Michael won the Pulitzer Prize, he reached out to Michael and texted about Michael, and they've had interactions. I also know that other people in Tyler Perry's life, Lee Daniels and Whoopi Goldberg, have strongly suggested that he see the show, but he has not yet. So I know that he knows, and we know, and I know for a fact that Whoopi Goldberg told him you need to see the show, but we'll see. He is always more than welcome to come and see the show, and we would love it.
Wonderful, fantastic. I wanted to ask you something. Oh yeah. Out of all this, what is for you, what you want people to go home with from this show? You said open a window in a LGBTQ life and so on.
Yes.
But not only for those who are not that, but for everybody. What is that you want people to go home with?
Well, the first thing that I would want people to go home with would be just the confirmation that just because a story on paper seems like it's not your story does not mean that you can't be enriched by it or learn something or connect to it. I think that a lot of people, well, we have been trained as a society to really connect with something that is a direct line, right? Whereas that's not always true, right? The most specific stories always end up being the most universal stories, right? So that's the first thing, to just understand and realize that just because a story doesn't seem like it's for you or about you does not mean that there's nothing in it for you, right? The second thing I would say is that there are, particularly for people in marginalized communities, that even in those marginalized communities, there are people within those communities that still feel on the outside of an outside community. And that's forgotten a lot. You know, my physical being represents a part of the LGBT community that is not on the outside. I, you know, am naturally thin, you know, I'm lighter skinned, I'm tall, you know, all those things I fit naturally into what's more accepted. And so my experience is completely different than Usher's. And remembering that there are ushers in the world and many types of ushers in the world is something extremely important. And then the third thing I would want people to walk away is Black queer people are the moment and the movement, and we are fierce and talented, and you've never seen a cast like this on stage. The talent that is on stage every night is something to behold. If for anything, I would say please come and just watch the magic and chemistry that this group of people does on that stage. You've never seen anything like it. I promise you, I promise you.
it is incredible. And one of the cast that I think it was incredible is the bald guy. I don't remember his name now, who plays the mom.
Oh, who plays?
The way he plays the mom, it's just wow. It's incredible.
It's a moment.
See her.
It's when I never forget the first time I heard and saw John Andrew Morrison sing that song 10 years ago.
Wow.
Do you know what I said to him? I said, "You're going to be nominated for a Tony Award." And he was.
He was. Oh, wow.
He was.
Fantastic.
Yes, he was nominated for. I said, "You're going to be nominated for a Tony Award for this performance one day," and he totally was.
Yeah.
It's an astounding moment. It's an astounding moment.
It is really amazing. Everything is, I mean, I saw it last night and I'm still, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still turning things around. And then I saw with a girlfriend of mine, she is the president of Adelco Awards.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Jackie Jeffries, and we went out and have dinner and discuss about it, because this is something that make you talk about it and exchange thoughts.
There's something to be said about too, when these themes and topics are set to music, because music is an amazing avenue to bring people and connect people. But when things that we say are set to music, it takes things to a whole other level. Especially
if the music is as amazing as the music.
Yes.
I mean, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
So we have come to the end of this conversation. I'm very thankful that you found the time to be with us, to be with the viewers of My Harlem Portraits. I hope you will come back to Harlem very, very soon.
Yes.
I thank you, and I thank our viewers. We'll see you next Saturday, 12:30. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mom is napping on the couch and Dad cuts the grass while I watch TV all day long, young and the restless, like one lone black gay boy I knew who chose to turn his back on the Lord. One lone black gay boy I knew who chose to turn his back on the Lord. Dad is drunken on the couch while Mom eats a pork chop. Daily bread meal, daily treadmill, won't ever stop. One lone black gay boy I knew who chose to turn his back on the Lord. One lone black gay boy I knew who chose to turn his back on the Lord. I am lying on the couch, I dream that I'm flying, flapping both my wings so hard to keep me from dying, with the crown of God-forsaken thorns on my head. Like all those black gay boys I knew who chose to go on back to the Lord. All those black gay boys I knew who chose to go on back to the Lord.